What's up guys, it's Dan, and I'm finally making another Gundam suit. So, I am and I am not making another Gundam suit. Let me explain. So yes, this suit is from Mobile Suit Gundam, but it is not a Gundam. And no, it is not a Xeon mobile suit as well. This is what I'm making. This is the RGM-79 SP2 Gym Sniper 2 White Dingo version. I have the master grade gunpla right here, so at least I have a nice 3D reference. Now this is the first version iteration of this mobile suit that I came across. These are not the original colors, as you can see here. The blue and white looks a lot better, looks a lot more crisper to me, cleaner as well. So this is the version I'm going to be doing, and yeah, let's start making the helmet. I start by making the skull cap. I bust out my foam head, which, by the way, you can make yourself by watching the Odin Makes video on it. I put a link to that video in the description below. I wrap it in foil and duct tape and draw only half of the skull cap. I can flip the pieces over to make the other side. I know my foam head is just slightly narrower than my actual head, so I compensate by going a little past center when I draw out the pattern pieces. Cut it out and transfer it to 4mm foam. Cut those pieces out and heat form them on my planishing stake to pre-round them. Then assemble it using 2 layers of contact cement. I want to make sure this cap doesn't come apart. I spent some time looking at the skull cap, confused on where the hell I should even start with this helmet. The head of the GM Sniper 2 is quite polygonic with a few round areas here and there. Boxes are quite easy to make with foam, but still require a certain amount of thinking and planning when tackling them. I decided to start working on the back of the head. It has a simple boxy shape with a recessed area in the middle. I cut it out of some 10mm foam and oversized just to make sure I have enough going towards the side of the head. It's always easier to remove excess than to add more material. I sectioned the part in the middle so I can make the recessed area that's on the back of the head. I move on to the ears of the helmet. These are large truncated cones that I cut out of 10mm foam. I use the template maker to custom make the pattern I need, which I'll put the link in the description below. I use my cos tool circle cutter to cut the circles I need to cap the cones. They need to be recessed a bit, so I make them bigger than the smallest diameter of the cone, so they stop short of the top when attached. Okay, so I have everything together, but just tacked on with super glue. I'm still testing things, fiddling with it, making adjustments, so the super glue is easy to pull off. But this is what I have so far. The back of the head with the skull cap on. And here's the fitment. See how that looks. The skull cap feels rather loose, but I was wearing a beanie all day, so my hair is really pushed down and it looks kind of funky. I know. But yeah, some big old ears. There's a lot of space in here. So here's the Death Sight's head. And here's what I have. Okay, this is going to be a bigger head, and I'm kind of doing that on purpose. This could have been 2 or 3mm this way, but it works. It has to go on my head a certain way for it to fit, so my lashes don't interfere with the mesh here. The black of the eyes is a mesh, because I don't like things touching my lashes, and I have long lashes for whatever reason. I need to reinforce the back here with some Sintra just to make it nice and straight. But other than that, this is actually going quite well. There were some things I had to figure out to get to this point. I mean, obviously, but troubleshooting some issues I was having. This looks like from the back. See how wide the head is there. And this head will get even bigger when it gets more complete and I add the gun on the right cheek, or the right ear, I guess. So for now, I'm going to work on the front. You can see the mouth or chin piece wrapped around there, and then that'll help me determine how to design the forehead, or the front of the head.
I make a pattern for the mouth guard piece. I don't know what to call these things. I transfer it to 10mm foam. I'm going to be using 10mm foam for the majority of this build. I cut it out and I use my V-groove hack to determine the size of the V-grooves I need to make to bend this piece the way I want it to. Link to that video in the description below. And here's an idea of how that piece will look on the helmet. I get the piece mounted where I want it, and I start working on the vents. I layer pieces of foam to make the vents more dimensional. It's a much better look than just cutting out simple pieces for them and just tacking them on. I take the time to actually build them into the helmet, trying to make it look as close as I can to the gunpla kit. I cut strips of foam at angles to make the vent borders. Adjust the bottom piece to line up with the border since it didn't fit in the first place. Easy fix. And, well, I didn't record it, but I did finish the vents off by cutting them open and using strips of 3mm Sintra for the vanes, along with some black plastic mesh on the inside. The forehead is next. It's meant to overlap the back portion of the head, so I imitate that using the thickness of the 10mm foam. Also, I found it easier for my brain to start with the top and front of the forehead, which has angles and actually curves in slightly towards the front. That'll give me a better idea of how to figure out the sides. Most of this build is just making pieces, and once made, place cardboard against them and draw out the next part I need, and so on and so forth.
Not too bad. I did it. No. Well, I mean, yeah, I did, but not done. But this is the majority of the build, though. I just need to make the visor. But this is pretty much it. Get a good look there. Definitely got the look. I don't have the skull cap in right now, but here's how it'll look. Obviously visibility is good because it's a big freaking window. I am looking at it though while I'm wearing it, and I'm seeing how close the visor will be to my face, which will cause it to fog up just from my body heat alone. I have an idea of maybe putting a blower fan maybe back here, which I'll have to cut this open for it to get air, but I'll make a makeshift vent back here that isn't canon to the design, but it'll look like it's part of it. And I'll make something that'll route the air over the top of it and just go right down and blast the visor with air. So that should work. Yeah, there's a lot of room here. Lots of room. Underneath is completely open, which I'm going to leave that open. It's a little bigger than the Death Scythe. Look at that. Mass-produced Death Scythe. I had to modify the forehead quite a bit, a couple times. I had to narrow this down because it was too wide initially, so I had to cut that, clean it up, and glue it back together. And then I had to change the profile because it jutted out too far and this was more vertical. So again, I had to cut it out, reshape it, retool it, and glue it back together. But I really like where it's at. Sorry, I'm holding a gray thing behind my gray sweater. This is looking really sick. But yeah, I just need to work on the sniper visor, the actual visor, and then it's got the antenna, sticks out here, and then the head mounted gun here. So not too much left, but it'll still take some time thinking about it and retooling shit to get how I want it to be.
I start work on the sniper visor, the part that lowers and covers the normal visor for sniping purposes. This part will move up and down. I transfer it not to 10mm foam, but 5mm foam. I want to make this piece a little bit lighter. After I get both halves of the sniper visor made, I'll work on the middle section, which is what houses the sniper lens. I use my V-groove hack once again to make the piece out of one continuous piece of foam. It's definitely a much cleaner look compared to making it out of all separate pieces. And here's how it's looking with the sniper visor in place. It's not attached yet, but it does give a good idea of how the head will look. I'll have to figure out how to attach it later, finding the pivot point evenly on both sides somehow. And with the visor down, I'm completely blind.
So quite a bit has happened that unfortunately I didn't record, but you can see things progressing with this helmet. The sniper scope visor is mounted and it moves up and down just like that. I'm just using some long screws and nylon lock nuts in there. It clears the ears because that was a main issue, or that was an issue I thought I would have when I was mounting this on. It doesn't hit my ears at all. So now I have this piece, which is the detail to go on the side here, both sides. So I'm just going to trace that on, cut out the holes, say more stuff has been done. Progress.
I cut out the vent holes on the sniper visor using a razor knife. Then I round the ends with a small grinding stone. Next, I meticulously and carefully grind down the outside of each hole, creating the recessed area around them. This took some time to do, especially trying to be careful not to grind down too much or make them too big, since they all had to be the same or close to the same size. They're not perfect, but hey, it's all handmade.
So Gundams and other mobile suits have panel line detail. This doesn't have a lot. I wish it did. I mean, there'll be more on the other body parts, but the head doesn't really have a lot. This is pretty much it, and I want it to look more detailed, so I'm gonna add my own. I'm gonna try not to make it look like it's too much or obviously added on. Obviously you guys know it's gonna be added on because I'm telling you right now, but I'll try to make it look natural.
I make a small trapezoid template and trace it onto the helmet in select places, mainly where there's either edges or where seams meet. I score them into the foam and use my heat gun to open up the lines. I could have used my wood burning tool, but I couldn't find my other bits. I only have a large tip on it that wouldn't work for making fine lines. Time to make the antenna. I cut out a piece of 1-inch closet rod and shaped it on my belt sander. Man, I'm so glad I have one of these. I sand it to the right diameter of the antenna hole, which is a 3/4 inch piece of thin wall PVC pipe, and shape it into a taper to imitate how it looks on the gunpla kit. Then I wrap it in 2mm foam. I clean up the seam on the antenna and cap it with a bit of 5mm foam, and I use magnets to attach it to the helmet. This antenna is quite long, so it makes sense to make it break away in case something bumps into it. It can simply come off. I work on the visor, starting with a piece of cardstock that I stick into the helmet and trace out the cavity to give me an idea of the visor's shape. I transfer the template onto a sheet of 1mm thick PET flexible plastic. I draw the pattern about 1/2 inch bigger to allow for, I guess it would be called glue allowance. I use my heat gun to form a curve into the plastic since I'll be applying a tint to it. I use a mirror green tint to, well, make it green, and also to make me unseen.
Alright, so here's where I am with the helmet. I have the visor installed. It's held on by 4 screws right now. I'm gonna have to take it off when I paint it, which will be easier to do rather than trying to mask it because there's areas here that tuck in, but it's removable for painting. I also added, you can see it there, this little nose or whatever piece here that cups my nose and mouth, and it keeps my breath from hitting the visor, which is great. That's needed. That's pretty much how a helmet is designed. It's just a piece of 2mm foam that arcs. This moves up and down. I have a piece right here for that camera. There will be one in here as well. Those will not be installed in this video because I need to paint them. I need to paint this. I've worn this a little bit and I don't really fog it up, but then again there's my own body heat which could fog it up. There are no holes at the top at all. I'll be using this blower fan right here. It's like a little turbo. I'm using a couple of these in the death scythe in the body. They're mounted underneath the collar and they just blast air right up my neck like that, and it works really well. It goes up my neck and into the face, which is nice. Anyway, the blower fan will mount right where that vent is. I'm gonna have to make a bracket for it so I can mount it on there, and the little fan will, I don't know if you can see it, it's in there, but it'll draw air from this vent, and I'll make a thing that will duct air over my head right to the visor. And yeah, this tint is kind of weird. It's mounted on the outside. Tint is normally on the inside, but it works fine. It's kind of tilted, which is just fine. Let me put this on for you. Have to hold it. Well, maybe I'll put the skull cap on. And then the helmet, because it will better wedge and position the helmet on my head and hold it in place better. So visibility is really good. Because it's a mirror tint, I am seeing reflections of other things that are being lit up. It still has a slight mirror effect on the inside. It's not terrible, but I do see like streaks of lights and whatnot. And I know my voice is being projected downward because of the little block that I made under here to keep my breath from the visor. It's not fogging up. It is a bit dark, It is a teeny bit darker because it is a tint. It's not terribly dark, but it is a tint. It should be fine to use indoors. But yeah, you can't even see me. And that's the whole point. And now I can't see. No. I can see. It's not direct vision. The hole here is too far from my face. And I actually see like two holes like right here. So I do see like between the two holes the middle part, which is foam. I can kind of peek out of the holes, but this will mostly be down for posing purposes. Antenna right here, it just sticks out so far. And then I'll have a head gun here, which I still have to make. So yeah, this helmet's gonna get even wider and bigger with that on. And I've worn it quite a bit. I can feel the warmth of my breath as I'm talking to the camera, and the visor has not fogged up at all. It's awesome. That's the biggest issue with helmets like these that are like fully enclosed or whatever, but it's completely open down here. So my breath has so much room to escape, and I'm going to keep it like that. You see my subtle panel line detailing. Very cool. And I pointed this out again. It's odd that this mobile suit does not have a camera in the back. It's weird. How do you look behind you unless you just use straight up radar and alerts? This is turning out great, and I just need to continue on it. So I'm gonna shut up and continue on it.
The side-mounted Vulcan pod is next. This GM is based off the GM Command, which does have head-mounted guns, but the sniper doesn't, mainly due to the sniper visor that moves up and down and would block them. So they gave it a side-mounted unit instead, so it would at least still have one. I drop a pattern and cut it out of 5mm foam, pretty much making a box. I use a combination of 2mm and 5mm foam for the added details, like the big circle and panel on the side, and the camera or sensor that mounts underneath. To attach it to the helmet, I use magnets once again since it just made sense to use them here. It's able to both break away or be removed when I pack and transport the suit.
Alright, so this is my GM Sniper 2 helmet. Let me know what you think. It's big, but I don't think it's too big. I don't think I could have done it smaller, because it's actually comfortable, it's livable. I'm really, really happy with how this turned out. It looks freaking awesome. If the scope moves, I may attach magnets or something so it'll just lock and click in place. I have the side-mounted head gun here, which is on magnets. So that just goes on like that. So right now, because of the tinted visor and I have a light over here, I have some light glare right here inside the visor. So that's the only downside of using the mirror tint, is it could bounce back and reflect on the visor inside, which will suck. I mean, I will be indoors where there will be lights higher usually, but they'll still reflect off things. Right now the helmet wants to go down. That's pretty cool. I can see the head gun right here for my view, because I have all this view. I was thinking of doing internal detail. I made a piece here for it that's on mesh. I cannot get this positioned right in the helmet, although it looks cool, and it doesn't block my vision too bad, but I think just having a visor is fine. You can't really see through it anyway. This is going to be a challenging part, is getting the skull cap installed in the helmet. See, right here would be perfect, how it is right now. But I can feel it tilting down. So I normally wear a hard hat to work. The weight of this feels a little similar. And I can kind of see with this down. I can see under here there's a good sized gap down there, so I can still kind of navigate. But this will be lowered mostly for poses, sniper poses. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below of this build. I'm really, really, really stoked with how this helmet turned out. I know it's gonna be big. I mean, it is big. It's gonna make the suit look kind of bobble-headed, but can't really avoid that. Some can, I can't. It looks great, turned out great. I feel like I got this done rather quickly. I did spend less time on this one compared to the Death Scythe due to the hours I work and when I can get in the shed. I did do some work in the house, some stuff that I can do. But yeah, this will not get painted yet. I plan on painting everything afterwards when all the pieces are made. Seems more appropriate to do it that way, so that everything will be the same color. I can whip up 1 or 2 batches of the same color, but on the same day or days. I don't know what other gimmicks I want to do on this. Lights, possibly. Not the visor, because I'm using a mirror tint and that'll just blow back at me. I'll probably do the sniper scope here, and this camera here on the gun. Be easy enough, just a green LED there, and then I gotta build this out to be the lens. But yeah, so that's gonna be it for this video. Man, look at this thing. Sick. They look better then, kinda. Has such a cool profile as well. Well, that just blocks the face, but yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm gonna build the body.